Welcome to the Everyday Awesome Project, where we bring you inspirational stories and game changing strategies to live your most awesome life. Hey, superstars, welcome back. Polly here.
And Sam Pruitt up in the mountains. At least
Sam-
my spirit is up there on that mountaintop. What's up,
Yeah,
beautiful humans?
yeah. Samantha's got a backdrop of mountains. So good to see you again, my dear. And
You
here we
too.
are. Yeah, here we are
Good
in
to be
Jan.
seen. Good to
Yeah.
be seen.
No, there's been a lot swimming around in your world, and maybe you'll be sharing more of that on social and stuff. So check us out on social so you can find out. But today, what we're getting up to in this conversation, you know, the loneliness epidemic, right, is the core of what this is about, right? And one of the things that we want to not solve for, but it's about the power of a circle. And we're going to be speaking from women's perspective because we're women, and we've had that
Yeah.
experience. A lot of this, if not all of it, is very applicable to men. We're just referencing women as we talk because that's who we are. Yeah.
Yeah, and really it's applicable to any and all humans, however they identify. But our
Oh,
personal
yes.
experience is female centric. So we want to really speak from an authentic place and the history of the female and things of that nature. But yeah, fully applicable to any and all humans.
Yes, yes. So, I don't think it's any surprise as this is airing, early 2026. You have a lot going on in your world. There's just people I talk to. There's a lot of shifting and leaving the planet and changes and a lot of chaos in the world right now. And I find that, the more this social media pandemic has arisen, we find ourselves lonelier than ever, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like the thing that we're going to be talking about today, I think is one of the best cures, especially for us as individuals, to stay connected, right? To not fall into that loneliness trap, right? You got to like dig your way. You've got to reach out to the people in your life to keep that connection alive, right? Because the brain, number one, when a lot of chaos, it kind of wants to help you seclude and like stay protected or safe. And it's actually better for your nervous system, better for your biology to be with other humans that you trust. Like, no, I'm not saying just, some people like go out and do a march. Great if that feels good to you, but like having your inner core, right?
hmm hmm
So, yeah.
I mean, it really started during the pandemic when we were forced into our little shells, right? But it's been enough time now that people are back into society and functioning relatively normal. I mean, we'll never really be 100% the same, right? That and, of course, the online vortex that so many people just dropped into. Oh, I guess this is how we talk to people now and how we work and how we see the world and all of that. You all know that's not reality, right? I mean, I'm just like, this is not how humans evolved. And I do want us to share a little bit about circles
Yeah.
and what we mean by a circle. Well, first of all, how would you define a circle?
Well, I mean, you could have a triangle of three, but I would still consider that possibly a circle. I would say more than two, three, four. I've also, and not to limit things, um, so that depending on the amount of time that you have set aside, I think a good communing regularly women's circle, max 12, 10, okay, 8 probably ideal. Fewer than 6, it could be light, meaning, one person doesn't show up or two people don't show up for some reason. Suddenly it's like 4. So that like I think there's this sweet spot of about 8 to 10. I think that's a nice yeah, that's my experience. How about you? Anything?
Okay. I mean, I've been in all different sizes too. I kind of prefer the smaller, but I'm super comfortable with and appreciate deep, hard conversations.
Yeah.
So smaller units tend to get a little bit deeper, tend to get a little bit more exposed and raw and vulnerable. I'm a fan of that.
Mhm.
But I've also been in the bigger groups, and it can be also incredibly rewarding and much more comfortable for most people who are not used to doing this.
Yeah.
You might
Yeah.
want to start out with something a little bit more larger and I don't want to say superficial, but there's a common thread like hiking or books or, a passion for knitting or whatever the thing is, whatever the thing is.
And what you might find, you and I were talking about like one of the things we're going to give as homework is like to create one or find one or start one or join one or something is like, sometimes it can be people that you're already connected to, most likely that you're already connected to. And either you peel off, you might have a big male female hiking club that you belong to or a ski club or dinner club or whatever, that's a bigger, and you might find some core people that you feel values alignment with, or you feel heart alignment with, or something like that, and invite them, right? And
Exactly.
so we'll get to
To
that.
do
But
your own little breakout.
yeah, so like where this goes to, I mean, you and I both have a lot of experience, like you said, in varying levels. And I mean, if you think about it, our current version or rendering of what society looks like is small compared to how long humans have been on this planet, right? Like we're just like the little blip at the end of the dash in history, right? And so
Yep.
if you think about, before we were all in separate houses and separate communities and we had to drive hundreds of miles or whatever it is to get from place to place, like people gathered, like community is the tighter the knit, the tribe, let's say, and I know that's not a great whatever, but truly a tribe, right? Or a town was small, close knit. Usually there was multi generations involved,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
people were, the women especially because of the child rearing and the cooking and cleaning and stuff like that, were often very interconnected and shared a lot of resources, shared a lot of communal, support and all of that. So 99% of our history, women were like, they lived, they birthed, they gathered in communal groups. There's things called red tents in tribal history. There's moon circles. This isn't like, it's just we're disconnected to it because of our, modern age, if you will.
And isn't it hilarious that we call that the evolution of humanity?
Yeah.
Woo woo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Like,
I'm
oh, that's,
sorry. Why is that woo woo? What the hell? And
we're
you're a
part.
woo woo, and I kind of tease you that you're a woo woo, and I love that about you because we're so yin yang. But it's like that's just the
How it was
evolution
done.
of humanity.
I'm sorry, that's how it was done until maybe like
Primal.
150 years ago. But the thousands of years before that, yeah, like if you look at history, and I mean, witchery or whatever, but like people, this is how we grew up, we evolved, we farmed together, we cooked together, you supported each other. I mean, there's definitely, if you talk to me about a mindset thing, I talk about
Hmm.
that 2 million-year-old brain of yours. If you feel like you're going to be ostracized from the tribe, the brain has a lot of safeguards to keep you invested in, belonging, if you will, right?
Cooperative function on the daily,
Yeah, yeah.
cooperation
Survival
and
depends on it. Yeah, I mean, people love to do it. Like, oh, you can social media this, and all of a sudden you're an influencer and doing all this stuff. It's like, I'm sorry, but you're still very connected. Like, or yeah, or you just are up in your head, but like where your heart is connected to other human beings, right?
yeah, I love the you're going that direction and the term co-regulation or nervous system regulation. We talk a lot about the nervous system and the vagus nerve and all these things going on in the body, how they affect your stress response and all of that. Very, very primal stuff. Study it if you haven't checked it out yet because we're super nerds of it. But the co-regulation is getting into a space like you and I do with each other or you do in small groups or circles where you really are energetically, and of course, through communication and shared experiences, helping to regulate the nervous system of each other.
Yeah,
Like infants and parents, and grandparents and infants, and all these things that humans have done since the beginning of mankind, civilization, and all of that, and even way before any kind of civilized world, right?
right.
So that co-regulation that happens is invaluable, and that cannot happen through a device or a screen
Yeah,
or anything like that. It takes real human contact and real human authentic communication, looking
definitely.
each other in the eye.
Well, and I think I don't know what year it was, but we could probably figure this out of like when using your phone as a phone went away. Like it's just this texting, computer, social media entertainment device now. And it's like I mean, there is something still to be said about human voice to human ear. Like that still can create the connection, if you will, right? That
Mhm,
texting can't. I mean, you can
mhm,
get some emotions from a text. You can also get some mixed, all jacked up emotions from a text.
mhm, mhm,
So, speaking, communicating with voice to voice and in person primarily, right? You get a whole nother level, right? Because what is it? 93% of communication is nonverbal, right? So,
mhm.
if you can't see them, hear, feel their space, that's or whatever. But I also just want to dispel one myth, or if anybody's thinking about it, I know, there's definitely some groups or some people that would say that women's circles and getting together is like, oh, we're just there at a bitch session, and it's like, I have not been a part of that group ever, and I would never, right? So that's not what we're talking about here. There may be whatever. This is like healing, supportive, vulnerable spaces for true connection, for support through whatever good news, good times, bad times, average times, whatever. It just
Mhm.
helps with so much of that nervous system regulation. And I mean, there's high things that you can get out of it too, and we'll go into that. But it's it can happen over, we've talked about like Zoom and stuff like that. You just started a new course that you're taking, right? And I'm sure, like you said, like 400 people got on this online Zoom call. You get some sense of it, but in person more so.
Yeah, you become a resource for one another,
So
right? So that's not something that should be taken lightly.
yeah,
It's called relationship. And
yeah.
in relationship, you relate to the other person, ideally showing up with compassion and, maybe some insight or just whatever it is that they might need at that moment. And they do the same thing for you. It's those really fantastic and also fun.
Yeah,
It's not always hard talk, serious talk, crisis management or whatever. It's fucking hilarious, dude.
totally.
Like, the insanity of it all. I just spent a week traveling and saw, three significant people in my life back to back to back. And one was one I hadn't seen in quite a long time. And it was one of my first business partners ever. I mean, I was literally 19 years old for my first business. And she's quite a bit older than me. And I stayed at her house intentionally so I could have meals with her, or I could spend more
Mm.
time with her. And then I was coming and going, visiting the other people in the area. And we had a lot of very deep, intimate conversation, no phones, all the kind of stuff, privacy. But then we also laughed our asses off
Yeah.
and, told stories and had great memories and, shared insight. Like it's that intimate connection that
Mm.
people really do long for. I believe they long for.
And I think I'll add to this. I'm doing this landmark program, and this quarter we break it up the year into quarters, and this quarter is we call the being related quarter. It's funny that we're
Oh,
talking about this, right? And so
okay.
it's about having an experience of being related, right? And what
Mm.
does that mean? How do you build that? How do you create that? And one of the things that we were getting trained on recently was how when you want to, like, so in this, a lot of this work is around teams and teamwork, right? So apply this to your family, that's a team. Apply this to your business, there's teams over there. Apply this to a community, there's teams over there, right? So it's very applicable. And they were saying that let's say the bigger the lift that you want from your team, the deeper the relatedness needs to be,
Mhm.
right? And so if
Yep.
you get these superficial, text only, 100% remote jobs where people only talk about like the job at hand or the next meeting or whatever, and they're not building that background of relatedness, when something you got a heavy lift, whatever that looks like for you, and you can take that into all the dimensions that I just mentioned, those people are your go-to people, and with the background of relatedness, you can count on them. They're like your anchor. They are there to whatever you need, right? But if you don't have that background of relatedness, it's weak, and like a tree, it just falls over. It's like, oh, you know.
So, I mean, I've spent 20 years, in event production, and that's basically all it is there is a team of ideally a team player. You might have a B team and a C team, right? Nothing personal, but like there can be layers to that depending on the size and the scope and the scale. But if you do not have deep roots in that A team and you are trying to execute at a very high level,
Oh yeah.
it is not going to happen. I've seen epic fails, as in just dangerous, chaotic, and
Hmm.
unsuccessful in all different ways. And then the polar opposite, which is incredibly rewarding to be part of,
Yeah.
is that deep rooted, connection with each other where literally you show up to do the thing, whatever the thing is, achieve the goal, right? Whatever it is. And you are freaking unstoppable. And we talked a lot about A teams on this podcast. We have plenty of episodes on that. People can go back and listen. But that's what you're talking about is that relatedness, that connectedness, its roots
Yeah.
to the relationship.
Yeah. And so how I would translate this, I love what you just said, is like, so to create an event, or let's call it a project, like a one-time thing, like, okay, we're going to bang this out in a day or in a weekend or 6 weeks or whatever it is, right? Like you said, that background of relatedness. What I think these circles do is it's the marathon of your life, right? So you
Mm,
translate that to like, it's not just a one day marathon, it's or one day event. It's like these are the people that carry on this project called your life with you. And it could be pieces of it. Like I don't have the same women's groups that I had 10 or 15 years ago, like, but they're in that phase maybe. Or like you have like lifelong friends that, yeah, for this giant chunk of your life, they're your go-to A team, right?
mhm, mhm,
Um,
mhm.
yeah, and you
So
can get
good.
up to so much, right? They see you, they build your confidence, they reflect back to you like, hey, you, I see you over there. You're not thinking you're so great right now. Let me remind you how great you are. Like there's so much to it. So it's not just, oh, I'm going to put myself in this circle and I don't think anybody would go into these to like, oh, to get them to do things for me, like a team or something like that.
No.
But to really be vulnerable and sharing yourself, and in any relationship, as you talked about, there's give and receive mutually. Like they share vulnerable things with you, you support them in that, and and it builds this quilt or this shield, if you will, of your circle. That's like you guys have each other, you know?
Yeah. And it changes you biochemically, like literally your oxytocin, your neurons, your chemistry of your body on a cellular level is changed.
Yeah,
So that's the other thing is that happens. That's a real thing that happens. And so you need that to be healthy
yeah,
and well, psychologically, physically, but also maybe pick these circles wisely because of
yeah.
that impact, right?
Yeah, well, multi-factor. So I want to double click on what you just said about the oxytocin. So I used to
Okay.
look at this. So and it doesn't necessarily have to be in circle, like sitting down on a couch or at a table or something like that. These can be moving too. Like you can have, walking meetings and stuff like that. But
That's the best kind. What are you talking about? You need to be. I'm all about that. Hell
okay,
yeah.
getting on the road, taking this on the road. Well, when I think about oxytocin, one thing I discovered, and I can't remember where I read it, so there's no like, oh, point to this doctor, whatever. But when women chit chat, talk, right? We release oxytocin, right? And oxytocin, happiness drug, if you don't know what that is, like it's good for you. It's just good for you, right? So these women's circles, like I always feel I'm like, hey, I just got washed over my brain with oxytocin for an hour or whatever.
Mhm.
Similar to, having a really good deep coffee chat with a friend or something like that. It's washing your brain with that feel good chemical to make you more immune from all the other news, the other 23 hours of your day that you're taking on or you're hearing about or relating to, right? Like you've got that oxytocin washing through your brain, right?
Exactly. It's a hormone and it's very, very important. It's one of the primary hormones that, babies share with their mother. It's that whole experience of being, loved at birth and experiencing with your caretakers and all that kind of stuff that, allows us to even form bonds.
Yeah, and you may know more about this. I don't know too much of the science about this, but I've looked up mirror neurons, right? And
Mhm,
so mirror neurons, when another woman, shares her truth,
mhm,
the other woman, like our brains process it as our own experience, and we have collective healing. Like we see one another, and like our heart heals when their heart, when they share something. We feel for them, that empathy experience, the mirror neurons like allow us to get over there with that person, and we feel that place in us that that
mhm.
person is experiencing, right? Whereas a lot of life is just this kind of like this medium grade hum, if you will. And what our heart longs for are these deeper connections, highs and lows, but just to be feeling with another person, right? So
Yeah. And the mirroring is that reflecting back.
yeah, yeah,
They can be shared experiences or not at all.
yeah,
But as the compassion of humanity, me being a human, you being a human, I can relate, even if I've never experienced any of these things at all,
yeah,
or if I have.
yeah,
There's a relatedness. There's
yeah,
a shared humanity and a mirroring of seeing each other in that,
mm,
and knowing that maybe you're in a tough moment and I've been there or I haven't been there, but I will be there someday, right? And so we have this together.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
seeing, feeling, hearing, it's like it opens up ca it's almost like our, those little at the holidays they have those little games that you can like open up a little window for 12 days or whatever. It's like there's those in our heart, and depending on the emotions, like we want those little doors to our heart to be opened, and to feel sadness with someone, to feel joy with someone, to feel love with someone, to feel you know rejected. It's like, oh, I get how that feels, but it activates.
To feel,
Yes.
to feel.
Not just that, buzzing along at the social media TikTok, like this whole TikTok dopamine hits. It's like, it's so getting us to a normalized like a
Numb,
vibrational, yeah,
numb.
vibrational numb.
Mhm.
And what we long for in our heart are the highs and it's like if you really went to a symphony and they just played one note the whole time. You're like, well, that wasn't what I expected, like we love the variety. Our heart loves those strings, those notes to be played up and down, up and down. Not like we want to, you know, be on a roller coaster, but we want to feel those things. That's why we're here.
Well, it builds emotional resiliency, right? These are
Mm,
muscles we're talking about. So you can envision that you're in a circle with whomever, whatever the group is, and there's shared things happening. I have a lot of different circles. So I'll just give my gym, female gym compadres as
yeah,
an example, right? So
yeah,
there's
yeah,
about a dozen of us, and we're very hot on working out together, and we fire each other up, and we spend time at the gym, and like we crush all kinds of things, but then we also go to coffee and we know what's happening in each other's lives outside of the gym, right? So this is just an example of that. Like, we started at the gym, we didn't know each other at all.
yeah.
Okay, we'd look at each other. What the hell's she doing over there? No, no, right, right. So we had this shared sweat, and then it kind of spilled out after that. And now it's very much like any woman within the group is experiencing something or is in need. We all come all guns a blazing to do whatever it needs
It's
to
the
happen.
fabric. Yeah, it's that
Yeah,
fabric.
exactly. It's like,
Yeah,
wait a minute, one of our people is in need,
yeah,
emotionally, physically, whatever the need might be,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Because
And that is priceless.
I don't think we're meant to ride all these roller coasters of emotions alone. Like,
No.
we're meant to feel it and then have a support network around us, whether it's a loved one, a primary, whatever, and more, to share that burden, that weight, that impact, whatever it is.
Well, we know from, I've had a lot of personal experience lately of really hard, crazy, painful
Stuff.
things happening to
Yeah.
family members and loved ones and friends and all kinds of things. And we've shared some of these experiences together, you and I as well. And so, in that pain and suffering and grief, I mean, it's extraordinary how the healing element of the space with others being there allows the person who's really at the heart of that pain, grief, and suffering to express themselves. And then we can all express ourselves because everybody's in pain and we're all grieving and we're sharing that grief together. The burden is lifted. But
Yeah.
if we leave these people,
Yeah.
or ourselves in isolation,
Yeah.
that wound will not heal.
Yeah.
It will get deeper and deeper and deeper until, and we've had these experiences too, friends just basically drop into that hole and it's very hard to get them out of that
Yeah.
suffering. It's a very dark place. And
Agreed.
that's, again, not how we evolved as humans
Yeah.
and not how we should be living our lives.
Yeah.
If we have emotional resiliency and we go into places where we can express these anger, sadness, grief, pain, humor, all of these myriad of emotions that humans have been given,
Yeah.
we're meant to express all of them,
Yeah.
then we're not going to be numb.
Yeah.
We're allowed to let those things roll through us and process and ideally allow us to strengthen and move forward with our lives.
Being seen and heard and
Mm-hmm.
feeling, it's like, I get you, like I'm not
Totally.
like here to fix you or anything. And so I wanted to say just a few things on a little bit of history notes, just so, we talk about like current day and how we're using them. So I mentioned red tents, so like historically women gathered in, red tents during menstruation or childbirth. And this wasn't like an exile thing, like, oh, you're, like, no, it was like they saw it as like sabbaticals of power, right? Like,
Mhm.
so I remember going to my first sweat lodge, and in most native sweat lodges, they have rules, or they don't allow women who are menstruating, right? Because they're so powerful and stuff. So it's like, it's these, combining this power. And it was like also these red tents where, and I find this, one of the last groups that I created, one of my intentions was I wanted multi-generational, right? So like when I was creating my mentor walks, when I was creating my last women's circles, I've really intentionally wanted younger women and elder women, because of that transfer of knowledge up and down, right? And so this is how women have healed each other, learned about this, taught each other, whether it's moms sharing mom secrets, or
Mhm.
healers sharing healing things, or whatever it is. But, that's one of the, purposes for women, and having this shamanic wisdom, if you will, transferring that power and that knowledge. And then I think, we need these circles, right? Communities where women held strong circles had the highest survival rates.
Mhm.
It's like,
Of the
what?
of themselves and their children.
Yeah, social cohesion is a
Mhm.
survival trait, on your own, good luck, right? So this is actually, it makes us individually and collectively stronger to stay together, to work together. Like you said, one of them is in crisis, like everybody shows up, right?
Mhm.
You see this with, food, what are they called? Food, like when a woman gives birth and then they have like a food train, people bring food to the house, a family,
Mhm.
or a loved one pass away, and it's like, oh,
Yep.
here, we'll take on the cooking for you and stuff. And today we have this, if we talked a little bit about that loneliness epidemic, right? So we have this surface level connection. You have 1,000 or 5,000 friends on Facebook, but women's circles, they're the antidote of the superficial. Like,
Mhm.
this is really where the core of friendship. We've done a segment on like the art of friendship, right? Like creating those connections, how to do it, what's most important about it. And so it's not this performance thing. A lot of people put their best lives on social media, and these circles, you see all of it, right? Like all of it is welcome. That's really how they're utilized. It's social media. You might want, oh, I can't put that out there, right? In these circles, all of you is welcome. Show it all to them, because they see you for the human that you are, right? All of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And find ways to express and develop yourself. How do you find one of these or create one? You're the queen of creating them. I mean, I have found them over my lifetime or made them in different manners than you have, but you tend to do a more formal job of creating them. So maybe you can share that with us. And then let's get into how people might find one for themselves or create one.
Well, I think what we touched on earlier is probably the most readily accessible for people is, you already have communities or circles of groups that you somehow are interconnected with. Possibly you work for a large organization and you've got some people that, whatever, maybe you've been a part of a book club or hiking club or church group or whatever it is. So you
You better
probably
belong to a run club or a hike club. Hello,
exercise, yes, the
walk
gym.
club. Yeah.
Sorry, all of that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So, you know, what I find is you're looking, so one of the things for me when I create them is like, what's the purpose? Like, what's the intention? Right. So, like, right now, we're doing this aliveness series, and I'm
Mm.
creating it mostly for women in business, because there's a shared experience that women in business want to relate about, right? Especially if they're owner, operator, founder, like it's lonely at the top kind of syndrome, right? Or, or you're a single operator, you are esthetician, whatever, and that's your business, right? You're interacting with your clients, but like running the business of it. So
Hmm.
that's so formulating or forming a context for what you want the circle to be about, I think is key, or what circle you want to join, right? Like if it's very, like some people want to get better at spirituality, like you've just joined a 400-person circle of people who want to study this work, right? That you're up to. Just
Yeah.
share about that for a minute. Just like,
Yeah. It's called A Year to Live.
yeah.
And I've been wanting to take it for a couple years.
Mm,
It's through Spirit Rock Meditation Center in California,
mm.
and it's facilitated by some Buddhist practitioners and meditation teachers. But there's a book, there's a workbook, and it's really, I'm going to spend an entire year reviewing my life. Boom.
And I'm on that road with you. I may not be in that class, but I want to hear all freaking, and we're going to hear about it. Like you're going to be sharing about that.
Oh yeah, I'm totally going to share it. Yeah.
So that's
But
one
there's
example.
yeah, there's 400 people. We have we're having our breakout groups and our more intimate circles. So I will have a local circle in the Coachella Valley where I live, and that might be half a dozen or up to 10 people or something like that. But then there's the wider circle. So it's like rings within the circle, but we're all here on this shared experience to do this work. And yeah, it's going to be intense. I'm very fired up about it.
I'm so excited. So that's how it can get created is like a communal desire to grow or learn something in an area, right? Like, so giving it some context, I would say. And then it's
Mhm.
about like you just once you create that, I would say, place in your heart or in your mind of like, oh, I want a circle, like you'll just start talking about it, like, you can start with like, okay, if this circle looked like this, who are some people I know that might be interested in that? You can probably take an inventory of people that you already know and
Mhm.
readily probably find three or four and then ask them or, or just in even you'd be amazed once it's like it's in your space, like I'm going to have a circle for something. You'll just mention it to the cashier or, you'll
Yeah.
be amazed. Like somebody will walk up to you and they'll just be like, oh, hey, I heard about this.
Yeah. You'll attract it. It's like when you first see that baby blue Bronco going up and down the street and you're like, wow, that's cute. I kind of like that. And the next thing you know, every 10 minutes you're seeing Broncos all of a sudden, right? Like it'll be on
Exactly.
your
You'll be like,
radar.
everybody's in a
No,
circle.
I have to have one. I gotta have that.
Totally.
I
So,
want that VW electric bus. But anyway, when I win
um,
the lottery, I'm getting that. That is freaking cool. Okay,
super
side
fun.
note.
Yeah. Super fun.
Um,
Totally.
can I mention a couple things that are like the pillars of keeping a
Yeah.
circle healthy
Yeah.
that
For
people need
sure.
to consider? Confidentiality.
Period.
Okay.
Like first and foremost.
Psychological safety and emotional safety for the humans in the circle.
Yes.
And like, I'm going to be in a group with 400 people. Nothing will be recorded. Everything is completely confidential. And we will spend hours and hours in these groups and then in these secondary and third circle groups, like I was expressing. And 100% of it is confidential.
That's so awesome.
No fixing. We're here to witness and
Mm,
hold space
mm,
and share compassion, but not to fix anybody, right?
yeah.
That's their job to explore for themselves. And then talking, making sure all of the voices are heard equally.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's been in these groups where somebody is just like, ah, nah, 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 every week bringing, and you're like, yo,
Can
hello.
you share the space?
Share the space, dude.
Picking up some oxygen here. Yeah.
Uh huh.
Mm.
Uh huh.
Well, I think the I think I want to say on the witnessing, the
Yeah.
giving people space. So there's a couple ways to do that. In our women's group, we learned this from somebody was in the Young Presidents Organization, and they have a rule. It's like you can't give advice.
Mm.
You can only share from experience. Like, well, that reminds me of a time when, and then let me go over here and explain that to you. Like, this is what it looks like. So that person can look into your life and see something for themselves, like you said, because they don't need fixing. Now, there are times when you don't have the exact example. Like, I don't have the example to say to this person, but I've got an idea, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
can couch it with, I have an idea for you, right? Totally. But I think put, I don't know about you, but when people try and quote, give me advice, if I'm not ready for it or willing for it, I'm like, shut down, like, hold up. Like, that's the first thing the brain does. It's like, I got this. Thank you very much, right? So, it's more like, I have an idea. I just want to tell you about it, right? Not like, here, I've got this thing for you. This is the answer for you. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's never going to work. Never going to
And
work.
I do a lot just offering of, let me know if you need some support,
Yeah. Yeah.
and let me know what you need.
I
If you
think,
need anything, I'm here. So I will offer things like that, and I'll either get a response or I won't get it, which I don't take any of this personally at all. I just want that person to know that if they do need some support around whatever the thing is, I will make myself available for that. That's my style because I'm comfortable with that, but not everybody needs to do that. It's not your obligation to even offer that.
I find that, until there's a certain level of rapport and that background of relatedness, um, people aren't especially women, we're not used to asking for support and help. So
Totally.
as coaches, you and I see this a lot, like we were in the role and job of, coaching and supporting people in those groups. If you have people who are working on the same thing for week after week after month after month, whatever, I think an intervention is in order, and so it's helping them open up to like encouraging them, not just like, yeah, I'm here if you need it, because there could be something in their background that's like, I got to do this on my own, like I'm on my
Mm,
own or whatever the story is. So I think there is a time and a place for helping that person open up more as the rapport is built. So
mhm,
yeah, yeah,
mhm.
yeah. So
I have some kind of like actionable steps I want to throw into the mix too.
yeah, do it.
Okay.
We got some
And this is
ideas
ba-
for you, people. We got some
and this is
ideas.
basically like homework, y'all.
Yo, let's get into action.
Y'all get some homework going,
Let's get
okay?
in action. Yep.
Audit your social interactions. So look at your calendar. How many meetings or gatherings or get-togethers or whatever do you have that feel performative?
Mm,
Where you're not genuinely, authentically being yourself. You feel like you're kind of wearing a mask and have to be a certain way versus ones that are restorative.
yeah,
Because circles should be restorative. They
yeah,
shouldn't be, oh, I'm showing up to the gym or I'm showing up to the work thing or whatever. And I'm like, I got to be the crusher in the room. Wait till I tell everybody how good I am and show them all these things. That's not what a circle is.
yeah. This is where you really take that mask off. Like
Hmm.
all those ways of being that you think you need to be out in the world. This
Yeah.
is the place where it all comes. Yep. I can be messy. I can be just who I am. I can tell you who
Hmm.
I'm pretending to be out in the world, and I can like own it. Be like, man,
And don't be intimidated. You can take that mask out off over time.
yes, yes,
Okay.
as that relatedness grows.
The
Yeah.
call of three we mentioned already this week. Identify three women or three humans that you trust. Invite them over or for a hike or whatever. This is not a party, it is a conversation. Okay. No distractions, no phones.
Yeah.
Just be in the circle. Um, this last year, I feel really, and it's probably because there's been so much intensity to it, I have more and more and more detached from that damn phone. And I just leave it in a different room or turned off or whatever. And I'm having more
Mm,
richness than
mm,
I've had in a long time with my relations.
yes.
It's so good. I'm not distracted. So, really, I want to just double click on that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Practice vulnerability. So the circle will only go as deep as the leader does.
So if you're starting
Y'all, this
this,
is
yeah,
why you're such a good leader, right?
lead by example,
Lead by example and share the thing that you're negotiating with yourself or share some sort of thing that you're experiencing so other people feel, oh, this is safe here. I can also be truthful, honest,
hmm
share my thing, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Yep.
And then, of
Sharing
course, I
yourself.
already mentioned the digital free zone. That's a
Yeah.
given.
Yes. Yeah. I used to have this list of like I forget where I first got it. This was goes way back when I used to teach. It was called the Rodell Way, and then I modified it, and it's basically like a set of agreements, like how we'll
Mhm.
treat each other, how we'll listen for each other, how we'll speak with each other. One of them is like we further what each other is up to, right? We don't
Mhm.
gossip. There's no blaming, complaining, justifying. There's all sorts of little, minute details. But I think the context that you set in the beginning, like it's amazing. I have found how fast people around me anyway have gone quickly deeply because it just takes a little bit of setting a container. This is a confidential space. Here's some agreements. I'm like not even kidding. In the first boom, people are like, I need some help with this. Like I'm pretending this in my relationship. I'm not succeeding in this. And like people will just really go quickly, I find. And not to like scare people like, oh, I don't want to know people's whatever, but like it just gives you permission to be.
Mhm.
It gives you such permission to be like, wow, when somebody else does, you're like, oh, thank God this is who these people are, like I don't have to have that mask on.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're afraid, like you just mentioned, of that deepness or that vulnerability from another, from yourself, that's normal at first because we
Mhm.
haven't been living that way. And
Right.
society doesn't live that way. So it's going to feel weird. It's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel challenging at first to kind of navigate how that feels in your body and in your brain. And that's fine.
Mm,
it's gonna over time slowly get more and more comfortable,
mhm.
and you can go for weeks or months or hours with people and just slowly drop into it. It's not something you have to, immediately take the mask off, like we said. Take your time.
And it's amazing how, it's a little bit like I was just thinking one other thing I wanted to add about, some people who don't exercise regularly or don't get movement regularly look at exercise as like a drain, a chore, like a waste of time, whatever you want. However, it just doesn't feel like
Waste
a,
of time.
it doesn't feel like a plus, right? It feels like a minus, right? I
Yeah.
just want to, and I think about, you could look at this, oh, another thing to do. Like, oh, I've got to have
Mm.
a circle or whatever. And I'm like, I look at it as such a plus that,
Hmm.
it's like an investment, like you make little deposits in it. And like that marathon, it's like going to the gym over time gives you immunity, gives you strength, like all these pluses that you go and invest, you go to this place, wherever, a hill or whatever, to do that thing. And you get a little bit back. And it's like over time, though, it's like a compounding effect. Like you talked about these women that you now in the gym with, like
Hmm.
the strength, the Herculean support you feel,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah. Totally.
so
Totally.
good. So,
It's an adventure, this life of ours, and it's not meant to be lived alone. Never has been, never will be.
yeah, yeah. And if you have it that way, that's just your brain isolating you and like
Yeah.
this loneliness epidemic, we are out to just bring people back to what matters most. That is the mission, is like what matters most is not what's on that phone. It's not helping you. It's not serving you. It's causing more isolation. So pick up that damn phone and use it as a phone, that 1 hour or 15 minutes that you would like tick away on little swiping. Dial, dial a friend, get in a group, create something, like have a conversation instead of a swipe moment, a swipe session, right?
Have some coffee, for goodness sake.
Have some,
Didn't you know the whole
have a
world
lot,
revolves around coffee?
have a lot, totally.
Gym, trails, coffee. I mean, come on.
What
Let's
more could the
go.
world? Yeah, I'd say you throw in an RV and I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
A little adventure. So, all right, what's our
100%.
one thing? What's the one thing that we want to leave people with today?
Oh, how your life feels, people. How you and your life feel are more important than how anything looks.
And every day is your opportunity to find your awesome.
See you next time.